welcome to Have I Got News For You? I'm Jon Richardson. In the news this week. In Belmarsh, in the prison officer's recreation room, there's bad news for a drug dealer who spent years digging a tunnel. In Thurrock, after a humiliating encounter with a neighbour's cat, one resident gets in training for their next meeting. In Westminster, there's scepticism over Sir Keir Starmer's claim that he doesn't know which costume he's been allocated for Labour's breakfast-themed fun run.
He's toast. He knows he's toast.
On Ian's team tonight is a comedian who says sometimes when he performs, it's the first time he said anything in the day. So it's a warm good morning to Phil Wang. And on Paul's team tonight is a broadcaster and Labour peer who says that the best advice she ever received was from her mother, who told her, life's unfair, get used to it. I couldn't agree more. So it's 2 points to Ian's team and a warm welcome to Joan Bakewell. We begin with the bigger news stories of the week. Paul and Joan, have a look at this.
Oh dear, yes, it's bad news, isn't it?
That's getting rid of the fingerprints.
Is he taking urine samples?
I think you'll find he's been taking the piss for quite some time. So this is Partygate, isn't it, coming to its end for the moment? Well, this chapter of it.
It is. It's the news that the Sue Gray report has finally been published. Yes. And in a shock, it's also apparently time to move on and not talk about the Sue Gray report anymore.
So let's talk about it.
What did you see were the sort of main takeaways, the revelations from the Sue Gray report?
It was more than a party, wasn't it? It was several parties. It was like an orgy. They started drinking at 4 in the afternoon and they were told to leave by 4 in the morning. Is that a party? I've not been to parties like that.
That's the Tory party.
How was a staff invitation sent during the December lockdown? It was originally called a wine and cheese evening. They renamed it to make it seem a bit more legit. What did they call it?
Forward planning?
The end-of-year meeting with wine and cheese. According to the Sue Gray report, what did Principal Private Secretary Party Marty... Let's have a look at Party Marty, there he is. Tie's blown backwards, doesn't even give a shit.
He emailed a colleague saying, I think we got away with it.
Yeah, it's a complete non-story, but better than them focusing on our drinks, which we seem to have got away with, until you emailed everyone.
I mean, the report and the reaction to it was just a huge V sign to the general public. And they keep saying, well, no one's interested in this. And then they do a spot poll and they find that 60% of the country think the Prime Minister should resign. But then that means you're no one.
Spot check poll from our audience there.
I mean, he came out smirking. I found the whole thing incredibly embarrassing. I had to remind myself that he is the Prime Minister. And if you're watching a repeat and something good's happened, thank God for that.
We need to move on, Ian. The government can't keep focusing on how it's failed in the past. It's busy failing now. And it needs to focus on that. He says he's learned a lesson from Sue Gray report, the main conclusion of which was there's a failure of leadership. And so Boris has gone, right, message received. I will get rid of everyone except the leader. I think that should solve problems. I mean, it's a bit like treating a brain tumour by getting a haircut. You know what I mean? It's not...
Martin Reynolds, who sent that email, he's the guy who organised the Bring Your Own Booze party. He is moving on. He's touted to be our new ambassador to
France?
Saudi Arabia.
Oh.
Good luck throwing a party there.
Yeah, absolutely.
The problem with this report is that we've been told you mustn't make any comment on this story until the Sue Gray report appears. And then it appears, and then the Prime Minister says, well, it'd be quite wrong for me to comment on this report. Why? I mean, it's just endless delaying tactics. If this had come out originally, that, you know, the place is full of people vomiting and spilling white wine and being rude to the cleaners, we'd have been shocked. This week, everyone goes, oh, is that it then?
She found there were multiple examples of a lack of respect and poor treatment of security and cleaning staff. Some Downing Street partygoers had told the cleaners to fuck off. Presumably so they could have a leaving party for them after they left. How do you feel specifically, Joan? Because I read that, so whilst these parties were going on, you were obeying the rules. I got told you got quite into gaming during the lockdown, is that right?
I don't what?
I think he said you went on the game, but I'm sure that...
Just reading what it says on the card.
I hope you've got photographic evidence to back this up.
I was told that you got into gaming. You played games during lockdown, is that?
Well, I played 1 or 2 with my grandchildren.
Call of Duty.
Call of Duty. Now, the Prime Minister's version of that is going to people's leaving parties.
Absolutely.
He kept saying it was his duty to turn up to people's leaving dues on the grounds that this was good for morale, even if it was against the regulations. Whereas the rest of us who were trying to go to, well, funerals in my case, but leaving dues in the metaphysical sense, we weren't allowed to go. Everyone says, oh, it's all about the booze and it's all about the parties, how Puritan. Forget about it. It's just the fact that they made the rules and we stuck by them and he didn't. I mean, that is still the point.
Let's give Boris the benefit of the doubt.
But there isn't any.
No.
OK. But let's anyway.
Let's move on from that, then. What was his specific statement to the House on Wednesday after the report was published?
He was humbled.
Humbled and has
Humbled.
learned a lesson. That's what Boris said. Presumably that lesson is, don't invite an official photographer to an illegal gathering. And who's going to resign as a result and who isn't going to resign?
No one's going to resign.
No one's going to
As
resign.
you would expect.
The Prime Minister isn't, and nor is the Cabinet Secretary Simon Case. There they are. And this is at a time when gatherings were illegal, so you can only imagine.
And the rest of the people there are so drunk that their image won't be coming out on photographic film. They're so blurry.
These photos were leaked on Monday as Boris Johnson was visiting a school in south-east London.
Oh, come on, come to our party, love from... That's so nice of you. Thank you.
Slammed by a 5-year-old there. Let's remind ourselves of the one person who has resigned. And here they are.
Is cheese and wine all right? No. It was a business meeting.
I'm joking.
This is recorded. His fictional party was a business meeting.
I can understand how infuriating it must be to think that the people who have been setting the rules have not been following the rules, Mr. Speaker, because I was also furious to see that clip.
And maybe he is furious. Maybe that's him picking up someone else's glass of wine going, what is this? What do you call this?
He's apologised. He's taken full responsibility. He reminded the House that over a period of about 600 days, gatherings on a total of just 8 days have been found to be in breach of the regulations, and these in a building that is 5,300 metres square. So the law was broken, but only 8 times, and in a very big building. So can we just move on?
There are 17 million people in the UK. I've only murdered 2.
Let's have a little bit of nostalgia. Let's look
nostalgia.
back to better times, shall we?
Yeah, where are we going back? 1862?
We're going back 2 years, and here's a picture that will just show you how quick time flies when you're having fun. This was 2 years ago today. Great days. Now, remarkably, that is a man so disliked that when a party happened in number 10 when he left, neither Sue Gray nor the Met felt it was worth investigating. That would be the ABBA party.
Yeah, for some reason, Sue Gray started looking into this party. This is the one thrown by the Prime Minister's wife. Why is this event not being looked into?
Because of what they would find.
I guess since we're obliged for balance, let's have a look at a woman in Burnley telling us what she thinks about Keir Starmer.
I'm not keen. I just think he's very bland. I don't think he's got the thrust to be successful.
Want to comment on Keir's thrust before we move on? Broadly agree. This is the Sue Gray report into Downing Street parties. The report includes photographic evidence of various Downing Street parties, including this, which isn't that damning until you realise all those sandwiches have been stolen from a food bank. Sorry, have I overstepped a line? I do apologise. At one Downing Street event, a partying staff member accidentally triggered a panic button, which had been installed just in case anyone got stuck talking to Matt Hancock. Ian and Phil, here's yours. Take a look at this.
Rishi Sunak warming up for his big U-turn. There he goes. There's all this hot air. Now he's making it rain. Rishi's making it rain. Yeah, this is the big windfall tax. That's definitely not a windfall tax. It is a targeted, temporary energy profits levy.
I think you can get bogged down in the semantics. I think it's best to let the man himself. Let's hear from Rishi Sunak on why this is definitely not a windfall tax and what it should be called.
I notice you don't want to call it a windfall tax, an energy profits levy.
Well, it's a very specific levy that we've designed, which contains in it a very generous investment incentive.
Come on, Chancellor, it's a windfall tax, isn't it?
I think people can call it what they want. What I want people to get across
But
is...
you won't call it a windfall tax.
No, I mean, these are windfall profits, or they are extraordinary profits, and they will be taxed, but through a new levy that will also include an investment incentive. And I think this is a really important point to get across.
So perhaps you'd like to apologise. It's not a windfall tax, it's a tax on windfall profit.
Yes. And this is not a U-turn. He's simply turning in a U shape.
Yes.
Yeah.
Are those cartons behind him having a party? Because they seem to be as vaguely outlined as the people.
Now, this was a Labour Party idea, Joan, wasn't it? This was your lot.
Yes, and 5 months ago they suggested it. That's right. It's come to happen.
You're not going to prosecute them for theft?
We wouldn't know where to stop. There was a time when Boris described something, when you wanted to distract from bad news, he called it a dead cat. He didn't, he said, throw a dead cat on the table and it will change the narrative. And this is what the windfall tax is, a dead cat to take us away from the Sue Gray report. It's very effective.
It's also, I think, Rishi Sunak realising that he was very, very popular as Chancellor when he gave people a huge amount of money during lockdown. And then after lockdown, he stopped doing that. And then they didn't like him very much. And now he's thought, I know what I can do. I'll give them a great deal of money. Yeah, Rishi!
He's very much got the energy of a divorced dad on the weekend. He's like... you know, does Keir Starmer let you have sweets in the bath? I don't think so.
Why else has the timing for Rishi Sunak been slightly problematic this week? What's happened to him in the news?
Well, he made the Sunday Times rich list. He came in at number 222. So everybody knows how rich he is. 780, is it billion or million?
Million, probably, I would imagine.
You think million is enough? I would have thought so.
I think so. That'd see you through to Christmas, wouldn't it?
You made me feel quite sorry for him there. When it was billions, I thought, oh, he's lost a lot of money recently. Yes, in the midst of the worst cost of living crisis for 40 years, it was announced that he and his wife have made it onto the Sunday Times rich list for the richest 1,000 people in Britain. So I thought there'd be applause there. I guess we're just not glad for people anymore. Rishi and his wife are worth £730 million, plus they'll get £400 energy relief. So the rich list actually measures land, property, investments, cars, and of course racehorses. Who hasn't got a few of them knocking about? But it doesn't count the most important wealth of all, friends.
Well, that's not very good for me.
So, moving on, Culture Secretary Nadine Dorries. Did you see her latest interesting interpretation of the data relating to the privatisation of Channel 4?
She said that a recent poll found that 96% of the British population are in favour of Channel 4 being privatised. It turns out she's correct with the number, but in the opposite way. It's actually 96% of the population are against the privatisation of Channel 4. It's an easy mistake to make.
She actually managed to dig herself into an even deeper hole. Let's see what happened.
But I think what is a more important figure, actually, is that in public polling, 53% of the public were not aware that Channel 4 was state-owned, and they thought it was already owned by a private company.
Yes, that's quite a vulnerable issue, I think, for you, since my colleague here had to explain that to you at the last session.
I think she's trying to compete with Channel 4 by providing better content.
In other news, if there is a rail strike next week, who will get priority in terms of getting from A to B?
The Queen.
You would hope so.
She's got to be at the celebration, hasn't she?
The bad news for the Queen is if she wants to get on a train, if there's a strike, she's going to have to disguise herself as toilet paper, bread or pasta. The decision has been to prioritise keeping the shops open over passenger satisfaction, which, let's be honest, they have nailed. People couldn't be any happier with the trains. This is someone we're going to be seeing a lot more of in coming days. This is Mick Lynch. He's the rail union boss. There was a time once where union leaders were some of the most famous and powerful people in the country. So who wants a game of Name That Union? Well, we're doing it anyway. There you go, the randomiser is going to throw up a famous face of a trade union leader from the 70s and 80s, and I need you to tell me who it is and what they were in charge of. Phil, I'm really looking out for you in this one. Here's the first one, buzz in when you know who it is, and don't forget, name that union!
Cargill was...
That's Jack Jones.
It is Jack Jones!
Now, I'm not quite sure. Is that picture right? Was his head really that big? I can imagine that his union was the oversized hatters. I don't know, was he electricians? Can't remember.
Was the Transport and General Workers Union boss, once described by The Guardian as the most powerful man in Britain. Right, that's the first point to Paul. Oh. Let's have the next one. Name that union.
That's Brenda... I've forgotten her name.
Yeah, I was going to... It's Brenda something. Is it Brenda Dean?
Brenda Dean, yeah.
Brenda Dean.
She was the Print Workers Union.
I was the Print Workers Union, yeah, she was.
It's going very well, this game, isn't it?
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Leader of SOGAT, the Printers Union, accused of selling the printers out to Rupert Murdoch, a Labour peer and possibly a friend of yours?
Oh, I knew her when she was on the Labour benches, but she's now died. She's not there anymore.
You've not kept in touch?
I haven't been to a medium recently.
It's the final one, and remember, name that union.
Oh, he was on the programme, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Norman
Willis.
Norman Willis,
Yes.
head of the TUC or something?
He was the top union boss in the country, the head of the TUC.
And he was on this programme.
And he was on your team, Ian.
He was, metaphorically.
Yeah.
Is that a photo of him listening to Ian on the show?
That's the end of that round.
Yeah.
Congratulations to everyone. Finally, would you like to see Jeremy Hunt with a strange couple?
There is going to be a Commons investigation into what the Prime Minister has said in the House of Commons to
Cozying up to the Morris dancing lobby again, I guess.
This is the news that the government has U-turned on the windfall tax. Also this week it was revealed that according to the Sunday Times Rich List, the Sunaks are the 222nd richest people in the United Kingdom, just below the couple that run the off-licence at the end of Downing Street. Appearing in front of a Commons Select Committee, Nadine Dorries revealed that she has a Netflix account. Not quite sure why she needs it. If she wants to see Stranger Things, she can just FaceTime Michael Gove.
What on earth's that?
Well, I'm glad you asked, Paul.
Yeah.
It's time for the human dynamo of news.
Wow.
Fingers on buzzers,
I bet the
teams.
special effects are going to be well worth it.
Oh, you brace yourself, mate.
Yeah.
Stand back. We should all have goggles on, really.
Yeah. That's the Queen.
It is.
As part of the Jubilee celebrations, some towns are becoming cities.
Absolutely. It's the news that 8 towns have been upgraded to cities as part of the Jubilee celebrations. The new cities are...
Milton Keynes, Bangor.
Bangor in Northern Ireland. That's a place, not an instruction.
Oh,
Douglas on the Isle of Man, Stanley in the Falklands Islands, Milton Keynes, Wrexham, Dunfermline, Bangor, Doncaster and Colchester. What do they get now that they're cities?
Well, cathedral. You're meant to have a cathedral if you're a city.
I don't think you get a free one, though. Can you have city status taken away?
Can I?
Yeah.
I don't know if I have that power. Can you name a place which has applied 4 times to become a city and been snubbed every time?
Swindon.
Reading.
Oh, Reading.
Reading, it is. Reading has been rejected 4 times and according to one commentator is forever condemned to be just a really big town. In other Jubilee news, what is the bad news for organisers of street parties?
All the booze has been bought by number 10. There's nothing left.
It's not the booze, it's the bloody paperwork. One pensioner in Hemel Hempstead, set to organise a knees up, was sent 23 pages of guidance for organising a street party, including recommendations on drawing up a counter-terrorist.
Can't you just put a table out of the front door and a few sandwiches?
What, for the terrorists? There we are. Look, there's ham and cheese there. Leave us alone. Go on there. Look. Crisp there.
Michael Gove has written to all local councils asking them to minimise bureaucracy for the Jubilee, or in his words...
Calm down.
In other royal news, where was the Queen spotted this week?
Chelsea Flower Show.
She was. Let's have a look at her there. You'd think the Queen would be able to fill a golf buggy. There's an empty seat on that. Who got asked to go around Chelsea Flower Show with the Queen and said, no?
No, that was Andrew, but he got thrown in a pond.
What was the big news from Chelsea Flower Show this year?
The brilliant wild garden. But I'm guessing that's not the news you're interested in.
Isn't it the bringing back of beavers?
Yeah, no, that's really...
Isn't that the flash?
I'm never more ashamed of my job than when I ask a nice question like, what was the highlight of the Chelsea Flower Show? And you say, wild flowers and beavers. And the answer on my card is that Ainsley Harriet's sister fell into a pond.
No, it was the talk of the flower show, I have to say.
She had to be rescued. Gloucestershire Live were quick to point the finger with this cryptic headline. Nick Knowles present as woman almost drowned at Chelsea Flower Show. This is news that to celebrate the Queen's Jubilee, 8 new cities have been created. One of the judges said he was so impressed by Milton Keynes' sophisticated grid roundabout that he would definitely be back to visit the city as soon as he's managed to leave it. Fingers on buzzers, teams. Here's the next one.
Is this Pep Guardiola criticising the pitch at Wembley?
I wouldn't focus on the man so much as...
What's he doing there, then?
Well, the map wouldn't have been in shot otherwise.
Oh, I see. So the map's important, is it?
It's to do with a gentleman who got lost on a walk and fell into the devil's arse.
Oh.
Not ringing any bells?
Is that a pub? I'll be popping into the devil's arse on Saturday night. Might see you there for a game of darts. Must be some sort of chasm, I suppose, isn't it?
It is, yes. It's a cave in the peaks. A gentleman was on his way to a comedy gig, which was inside Peak Cavern, which is otherwise known as the Devil's Arse.
Yeah.
When he slipped off a ledge and tumbled down and managed to grab a tree and break his fall.
Was Nick Knowles nearby when this happened? This has got Knowles written all over it.
Staying with the subject of troublesome arses, which rumour had Australia's outgoing Prime Minister Scott Morrison been unable to shake off during his election campaign this week?
He did a shit in a McDonald's.
Yes, he did. That's exactly
Don't ask me how I know that.
It's been repeatedly claimed that he soiled himself in the McDonald's after his rugby team had lost a big match. He denies it, but the rumours have been so persistent that outside the McDonald's on a bin now is a blue plaque, which reads, "It was at this spot on the evening of the 20th of September 1997 that Scott Morrison defecated in his pants after the Cronulla Sharks lost the Super League Grand Final."
Do they not have any libel laws in Australia? I think I'm operating in the wrong country.
Maybe you should start printing Private Eye on bins. Maybe that's the way around.
When I took over at Private Eye, we had a court case in which my predecessor was in the dock, and the barrister said, "Is anything in Private Eye untrue?" And my predecessor said, "Yes, the apologies."
It should be pointed out that Mr. Morrison maintains his innocence and insists this is a vicious smear campaign. Time now for the Missing Words round, which this week features as its guest publication, Materials Recycling World. And we start with, what left panicked after spotting a Welcome to Luton sign?
Heathrow passengers.
Oh, so close. Go south, round the M25, about 10 more junctions.
Gatwick.
Air passengers at Gatwick Airport is bang on. A prankster sparked panic amongst air passengers destined for Gatwick, 60 miles from Luton, by putting the following sign in a field near the airport. Now, obviously, it goes without saying, we are not taking cheap shots at the people of Luton. Many people would be delighted to see a Welcome to Luton sign. Particularly if you've just left Stevenage. Of course, some people think they're coming to Gatwick, but then they look out of the window and it says, "Welcome to Rwanda." Next, what found in stunned homeowners what?
Party found in stunned homeowners' ground floor offices.
What do you usually find in things? What do people end up
Skunk. Skunk found in stunned homeowner's nostril.
It's not a skunk, it's somebody's face.
Mona Lisa.
Mona Lisa, I mean, you might want to compare the two, equally beautiful. It's the face of Gandalf found in stunned homeowners' floorboards. Isabel Haldane discovered the wizard's face in the floor of her Scottish home.
That's Gandalf the Grain.
Next, man uses recycling bin to what?
Man uses recycling bin to train cat to sing.
To catch an alligator.
Oh.
There we go. This is from Materials Recycling World. Must have been over the moon to finally have an interesting recycling story. After a man in Florida used a recycling bin to catch an alligator. Here it is.
But that's not the end of the story when the recycling man comes round on Monday.
So the final scores are Ian and Phil have 5. Paul and Joan have 5. On which note, we say thank you to our panellists Ian Hislop and Phil Wang, Paul Merton and Joan Bakewell. And I leave you with news that after Sinn Féin take control of the Northern Ireland Assembly, there's a slight overreaction by the Ulster Unionists. As cases continue to rise, the NHS enlists celebrity volunteers to help administer the monkeypox vaccine. And as new plans allow the sale of DNA-altered livestock, staff at Bernard Matthews' Norfolk factory have appealed for calm after it's revealed one of their chickens has escaped. Good night.
Pair of sensible shoes? How dare you? Definitely not the kind of holiday Marilyn was hoping for. Heartwarming and hopeless. Comedy, the other one next on BBC One.